Hello, this is Richard Payton, and I'm going to walk through a short demo of the applicant pool system, particularly focusing on the perspective of a manager, and in this case a non-posting manager, someone who has the ability to review applications but not to post job listings. And I'm going to take it from logging in to reviewing applications, updating statuses, and that includes adding notes. And then we'll also walk through the view of an applicant as they both view the job listings out on Indeed or other places, and then view the job listing on this site and complete the application and show the different sections and what that experience is like for them. And then I'll briefly cover the site administrator and the additional things that they would do. So with that, let me go ahead and log in. And when a manager logs in, they land on the applicants page, and by default, what they see are the most recent applicants for the job listing, and this is going to be the most recent applicants that they have access to view. So each user of the system is given the access to those departments or business units that they need to view the applicants for. And when you're on this page, you can filter by other things. So if you want to look just for those applicants that have a given status, those that are active or archived, qualified or not qualified, etc., then you can do so. So when we're looking at this page, we do see some information. And in fact, if we go over and click on the second tab, we see a bit more information about the job listings we have access to. And that includes some analytics that are real-time analytics regarding how many people have applied for this job in the last 30 days, or we can change that to be up to a full year. And so we can see the number of applicants, how many of those met the qualifications, and how many have not yet had a status given to them, so they still need to be reviewed. So this is my workload, if you will, going back for the last year. So going back to the All Applicants page, if I want to view the applicant, I can just click on their name or action and view. I could, though, look at it a little bit more information. I can hover over the notes indicator and I can see notes that have been added for this applicant. I can see the statuses that has been added for them. And let's go on in and take a look. So when I land here, this applicant, a bit unusual that they've applied for a number of other job listings. So I can see those, and I can see where they are in the process. So some of these were not completed applications. I can see the status that was given on these. And if I had access to the business units, then I would be able to hover over the notes and see those as well. I can see other applicants that have applied for this job as well over on the left-hand side. So if I scroll up, then I can see the application. In this case, we're not requiring history, so that wasn't a section that they completed, but they do have the education information. They upload a resume, so I can download it or preview it. I can view other sections that they've completed, and I can also see their responses to the job questions. These are the questions that were added for this specific job so that they can, in this case, do some screening. And this applicant did not meet the basic qualifications of this job on both of these, because that's where I see the red flags indicating that in this case they had less experience, and in this case they didn't meet the other criteria that we were specifying for the job listing. All right, I can also see the timeline of, by default, notes. So any notes that have been added for this applicant I can see. If I want to include other information, such as who's viewed this application, I can click on Actions, and I can see that in this case, this is the login I'm using that I just came in just Central Time. Or I can click on Emails and view any emails that have been sent to this applicant. So after reviewing, I can update the status, or I can go a step further, and given I have access to do this, I can add a note, and I can explain why I'm changing a status, and I can update the status at this point. This is a list of statuses that's unique for your organization. So I can click on Add Note, and we'd have one additional note that was added for this applicant. I've got these filters so I can actually change what job I'm looking at. I can specify a given status, same sorts of things that we looked at on the other page. And then on the upper right, I've got the actions that I can pursue for this applicant or this application. So you won't necessarily have all of these things turned on your site, but I'm going to just touch on some of the primary ones, and that is printing out an application. So you'll actually preview it first. You can select most common sections, or you can go ahead and just customize and choose the sections that you want to include to preview and print. You can email the applicant. I can also, without even going underneath actions, I can just click on their email address, and I can choose from email templates that I can then use to send an email to the applicant. And I can spotlight the applicant. So this is a way to share this application with someone else who's also set up as a user. So when I click on that, then I can select one or more individuals. I can put in a note to email them, and then I can send the email. When I do, they not only get the email, but it also shows up underneath the spotlight indicator. So in this case, I can see that there have been 3 applications that have been spotlighted for me. I don't have to go find that email. I can just click directly on any of these and go straight to the application. So a very direct way to communicate with someone else about an application that you think is particularly noteworthy. Those are the biggest things as far as the actions that you might want to pursue for a given applicant. Let's go ahead and then talk about jobs. So I've got access just to a single business unit that has an active job listing at this point. So all I see when I come to the jobs page is the one job listing. All applicants is very similar to the screen that we were just on, so I don't really have a need to go to there. But underneath job listings, and particularly underneath actions for this job, I've got a couple of reports that I can look at. So if you're curious about or wanting to use information about where your applicants are coming from, then you've got the source report that shows you for the given sources where your applicants have been landing. In this case, we see the primary sources are Indeed, the vast majority, and because we've got something called Indeed Apply turned on, everyone who is clicking through from Indeed or they're submitting their information, they all show up as applications that are started, and most of them completed. They do have the ability, if they're coming in, or depending upon how they're coming in, that they don't necessarily complete the application. Glassdoor is kind of a typical ratio of number of people who view versus number of people who start. That can be anywhere from 6 to 10 to 1. And then we're getting fewer of them who are completing the application, in part because this wasn't actually an active job listing, and they may have picked up on that. Hopefully they did. If not, or maybe even in the screening questions that they had screened them out. And then you can see how many of those applicants met the basic qualifications, etc. All right, the other report that's pretty handy is the job questions report, particularly if you decide at some point that you want to loosen or maybe even strengthen the criteria for your job listing. You can see the responses of your applicants, so you can filter for those. Notice it's based upon the date range and other filters I have, but I can see the responses of my applicants to those questions, and I could actually update a status. This is again a list that's unique to your organization, and I can do other things from this page. And I can select multiple applications to do things too on that page. Let me show you very quickly that I was talking about the Indeed Apply. So when someone goes out and they do a search, in this case for customer service representative in Austin, Texas, then the first few jobs are sponsored, but then after that you get these listings, and what they see is initially a preview, but then when they click through, they're going to see the job listing, and if the Easily Apply option is selected, then they actually see the job listing not on your ApplicantPool site, but out on Indeed, and then they can apply from there. So let's talk about the rest of the applicant experience. So your equivalent of this page would have your graphics, and then you would see your job listings here. So these are the listings that are active right now, and if I'm on a mobile device, it's going to be mobile optimized for me so that I don't see this full screen. I see instead the left-hand side of it first, and this is going to be fit to my screen. And then down below I see the rest of the information, including being able to sign up to be notified when someone adds a new job listing on this site. Or I can click on the job listing, which is where applicants often land if they're coming from sites such as Glassdoor, for instance. They'll land directly on the job listing. Same sort of deal. It's mobile optimized, so if you're on a mobile device, then you're going to see the listing itself fit to your screen, and then down below you would see the fields where you can go ahead and start the application. If they have a LinkedIn profile and they click on this, then it will fill in their name and their email address twice. We validate on email address, so you won't have duplicate applications. The same person won't apply for a given job more than once using the same email address, and it's pretty rare that they use more than one email address. So if they've been here before, they can log in. So if it recognizes their email address, it will ask them to log in. If they don't remember their password, then they can request it. However, I do, so I'm going to go in. And once you log in as an applicant, you see what sections have already been completed, if any. And you can go through, just proceed section by section, or you can actually bounce around if you want. Here are those job questions that we looked at earlier. So these are the types of answer options that you can provide. So you can have radio buttons, drop-down lists, etc., and make it pretty easy for them, even if they're on a mobile device, to answer these questions. They can put in their prior employers, education. If they would like to upload resumes or other documents, they can do so even if they're on a mobile device that doesn't have the ability to store those, because they can pick them up from Dropbox or Google Drive if they've got them out there, or even put them in as a text file or as text and upload them as a text file. If they've completed all of the sections, they can submit the application. And if they've not completed all the sections, they'll get a message indicating which ones they need to go back to. Pretty clear here as well. And if they've completed all, then they'll get a thank you message on screen. They also get a thank you email. And they can then go back and they can update their own contact information if they've logged in. And they can apply for an additional job using the same information that's not job specific, that is. So prior employers, resume, education, things like that. They can use that same information and contact information, and they can print out their application. So that's more or less it. The parts I've not covered are what the site administrators do, which includes being able to add those job listings, modify them, push them out to other sites, such as Indeed, which picks up the feed, as do other sites, and then do reporting, additional reporting, that is, and basically take care of all of the needs of the site. So if you have any questions at this point, then first point of reference might be your site administrator, but I'll be happy to help you as well, and we do have a support group in addition. So thank you very much, and I hope you have a very nice day. Goodbye.